Debbie Drennan, Master's in Social Work, is the Early Start Family Resource Center Coordinator and an Assistive Technology Specialist at PHP's Itech Center. She has more than 20 years experience in the field, having received her certificate in Assistive Technology from Cal State Northridge in 1999. She has presented at both state and national conferences on many aspects of assistive technology. She worked for several years as a medical social worker before having children. She has one son with cerebral palsy and one son with ADHD and dyspraxia. As a parent of two children, both with unique needs, she became interested in and passionate about the potential assistive technology holds for so many individuals. Welcome, Debbie, and thank you for joining us today.
Of course, glad to be here. And what I would like to do is, first of all, I'm so grateful that everyone could make it today. With the winds last night, we were all like crossing our fingers, our power would be on and our internet would work. I'm still crossing my fingers, that continues. So cross your fingers. Let's all hope power continues and internet stays. That would be great. I do want you to go ahead and put in the chat, if you don't mind, who you are and where you are from. I like to get a sense of my audience. And then if Brenda wouldn't mind just kind of giving me sort of a roundup of who everyone is and where you're from, that would be terrific. Thank you, Brenda, for that. Just so that I know who's here, because it's important for me to make sure what information I give you is something you want to hear. Okay. So as she was saying, we're going to be talking today about inclusive early learning tools. And I want to be very clear that these inclusive early learning tools are not just for preschool, because everyone thinks preschool. This is also for home daycare homes. This is also for your own home to make your life easier as a parent on how to make things very inclusive for your kids, right? So this is inclusive early learning tools specific to the ages of 0 to 5. And there's a lot of stuff out there, and I'm really going to focus in on my top 10 tools. And that will be included in your handouts tomorrow, what they are. So you'll get a sense of what they are, my top 10 tools. But first, let me delve into a little bit about inclusion, right? What it is, how that works. I created toolkits a couple years ago under a grant with the Inclusion Collaborative under the Fast Track Learning Grant. So I was able to really delve into this through that grant and really see what would be effective for these ages 0 to 5 in an inclusive learning environment. And that was a really great opportunity for me because I was able to work with people up at CAST on Universal Design for Learning, which I'll talk to you in a little bit about. And really kind of pull things together that I've been doing for 20 years. So that was really kind of nice for me. So let me quickly peek in the chat and see who all is here today. I hope my screen doesn't show everything. Here we go. Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. Oh, we've got preschool teachers from Watsonville. Hello, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Interns, Rebecca's Children's Services, welcome. I'm glad you could be here today. So thank you, everyone, for coming. I appreciate you all being here and taking the time. So good. I hope you gain valuable information. So as Judy was saying, this is kind of how we're going to Zoom today. We are going to keep you muted, but I do want you to use the chat. You are all experts, and I want you to be able to share information as I'm showing something or talking about something. If you have additional information, please post it in the chat. And what we'll do is we'll curate the chat after this of any other helpful tips and hints, and so that everyone can get that information tomorrow, okay? Because we're all here to learn from each other, okay? The Q&A feature is also being monitored, so if you have a question, you can post it there as well. That would be great, okay? And if you are joining by phone, I don't know if we have anybody here by phone, but if you are joining by phone, we do have places in the presentation where I'm going to stop and ask for questions. And that's a great time for you to pop in any questions you might have at that time. And again, you will be getting the PDF of this presentation plus additional information emailed to you tomorrow. Okay, so know that that is on its way. So as Judy said, who am I? This is me. I am an assistive technology specialist. I've been doing that for a long time. I was two. I'm telling you, I was just 2 years old when I got my AT certificate in 1999. I am also now the Early Start Family Resource Center manager at PHP. So I'm really able to blend together my two loves into this presentation. So I'm excited to be able to present to you today. And as Judy was saying, my PHP career, I was a medical social worker for Santa Teresa Kaiser, and I was working with maternal child health, and I was working in orthopedics, and I was working in all these different places, and I was referring families to all the different resources in the community. And it wasn't until I became a parent and needed those resources that I understood, wow, PHP is really the place I need to be, because that is key for me. It was key for me. So I'm hoping you see the value in PHP for yourselves. As Judy was mentioning, PHP is we provide information, we provide support and education, and we follow families through the lifespan. So I start with the very littlest families and newest families, but we also have groups that focus in on adults with developmental disabilities, and we're really building that population and those supports up as well. So we follow families through the lifespan. And we have a lot of information available online with our e-packets and our video library. So I invite you, if you've not explored our website, to explore our website. We have a lot of really good info on there. For my part, the Get an Early Start package part is we have, if you go to our Early Start website, which is what I call a Get an Early Start website on php.com, Early Childhood Special Needs, you're going to see we have our list of services in there, and we have direct links on that page to all the information on our website that is pertinent for families with children 0 to 5. So if you want to just go straight to the source, check that website. That'll take you straight to the source. And so I really encourage you to do that. We have a lot of videos we've created, especially for at home. We did a bunch of videos, English and Spanish, on how to get an early start at home, because we know it's scary for families. Having someone on a phone, you're trying to do therapy or have someone come into your home via your phone, and that's a little frightening and intimidating. We have information for families, little video vignettes we made to help them get through that process, get set up, get comfortable with it. So I invite you to take a look at our website and check those out. The other piece that I'm passionate about is our Itech Center. It is closed for in-person right now, of course, with COVID, but I do want you to know that we are available to provide guided trainings via Zoom or Google Meet for families. So I have, and you're going to see, I have a plethora of stuff. I have a mini Itech Center in my home now. So I'm happy to do demonstrations for families. I am happy to provide information for teachers, for daycare providers, to just let me know. And we can discuss. There is a fee for that, but we can talk about it. And for families, if it's a regional center client, we are vendorized for the regional center for that services for all ages. So there is a way of getting families to get it paid for. So just contact me if you want any information about any of that. Happy to share. So today, now that I've gone through the what is PHP, let's talk about what we're doing today. Today, we're going to be doing a brief overview of inclusion and universal design for learning. If you design your day for universal design, you're done, right? You don't have to think about it anymore in terms of inclusion. It's already built into what you're doing for that day. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to also tell you kind of why I picked the tools I picked. A lot of people have questions about that. I'm going to get into that, why these tools were chosen. And I'm also, as I go through the tools, I'm going to be demoing. I'm going to stop the PowerPoint. I'm going to demo tools for you. I'm going to talk to you about strategies for implementation as I demo the tools so that you'll understand how big and how much these tools can do. And then, of course, I'm going to give you resources tomorrow on where to go for more information, okay? As well as information on a whole bunch of tools in the original toolkit that I'm not going to have time to share with you. It's a big toolkit, and I don't have time to share everything. But I did want you to know that you're going to get all the information, whether or not I get to showing that tool or not. Okay. So before I dig in, were there any questions that need to be answered before I dig into inclusion and early learning and all of that?
Debbie, there's one question. Are PHP services available to all families or just Santa Clara County residents?
PHP services are available to all families. The Early Start 0 to 3 component is targeted to just Santa Clara County families. However, we have, and we still do, if somebody contacts us from San Mateo with questions, we answer the questions, we provide the information. Down in Watsonville, we do the same, and then we refer them to local resources if they're available. So we provide information for everybody, and then we try to target them to the appropriate place if it's not 0 to 3 in our area. Otherwise, we serve those counties 3 and above. So yeah, we're good. We're happy to help. Anything else?
Another question, will this webinar be available as a recording to view later?
It depends. Again, technology prayer. If power stays good and my internet stays good, we'll see. So I don't know yet. We are recording it just so you are aware, but we don't know how it's going to come out. So I'll let you know. How's that? All right, so let's move into why inclusion. Why are we even doing this? What's the point? Back in 2019, Tony Thurmond reiterated, he's the head of Department of Education in California, reiterated the importance of inclusive early learning and care programs for students with disabilities. And I want to emphasize, it's not just the preschools, it's not just the center base, it's also the daycares. It's also the Family Resource Center programs. It's the Y childcare programs. This is so important that inclusion be a big part of child's life, 0 to 5, if they have a disability or if they don't have a disability. Because in those early years, they're all kind of learning the same stuff. And it's really important that the needs of each and every student are provided to them in the least restrictive environment, thus inclusion. So this was just reiterated not too long ago, and this continues to be when things open up the plan, right? That we are going to try really hard for inclusion. That's key, and that's what's important. So this was reiterated by Tony Thurmond not too long ago. So what is inclusion? What does that mean? So these are the UDL guidelines. UDL is Universal Design for Learning. The CAS.org website is a great resource for really delving deep into inclusion and how to do that in your school, your classroom, your daycare. But essentially, Universal Design for Learning is 3 components. For everything you're doing, you're providing multiple means of engagement, which means maybe you're working on, you want children in your daycare center to all work on a Christmas project or a Valentine's Friendship Day project that's coming up, right? And so it's going to be arts and crafts. And you want to have them all make something to bring home to their family. So multiple means of engagement means for some kids, you just tell them and show them the coloring tools and the scissors and they're off and running. For another kid, they have no interest. So how are you going to engage that child? So you're going to maybe show them, you're going to have maybe one that you've created that they can model off of. Maybe you're going to show a little video of you making that one that you made so that they can watch that video to get engaged in that activity. Maybe you're going to chunk the activity, but it's all different multiple means of engagement because you want to get their interest first. The second piece is multiple means of representation. So you're going to tell them how to do it. You're going to show them how to do it. And then maybe you'll have a video of you doing it, right? So those are all different ways of representing what you're doing. And maybe you're going to have another way for them to tell you how they're going to do it so that you know they heard you. or maybe they're going to put together a symbols to show you this is the order I do this in. Whatever it is, it's just multiple means of representing. And then multiple means of action and expression. So let's say you are working with a child in your daycare center who doesn't have physical accessibility to make that tool, but maybe they can direct you in making that thing for their family, or maybe they can direct a friend in your daycare on how to make that for their family, what colors they want, how much glitter they want, whatever it might be. So there's another way of them showing that they're doing that activity in a different way. So this is what UDL is about. And most people who work with children 0 to 5 just do this anyway, because it just makes your life easier as the preschool teacher or the daycare center or the parent. You know you need to do this. You know you have to get them involved. You have to get their interest. You have to find a way to represent it for them so that they can understand what you're doing. And you have to give them another way of showing that they have learned what you want them to learn or to do what you want them to do. Okay, so this is kind of an intrinsic thing that we all do, but this framework really sort of puts it into concrete terms, makes it easier to kind of understand. And it's really valuable. And you're going to see a lot of the tools that I'm going to show you follow beautifully into this framework. And it makes it so simple to do this. And I really recommend, if you have questions about universal design for learning, you go to the website, you check it out, and really start exploring. You can even become a UDL certified teacher if you want off their website. This is what they do, and it's really, really helpful. Another thing you should be aware of is the Early Childhood Technical Assistance Center for Early Care and Education Environments. Talk about what is it to have high quality inclusion, right? It's one thing to have a child in your center or your preschool that has a disability. It's another to have high quality inclusion of that child. And see, these are the 6 indicators for instruction. How do you know you're doing high quality inclusion? Well, first of all, it's going to be child-led. It's going to be culturally responsive. It's going to be evidence-based, data-driven instruction, which everything I'm going to show you is. And it's going to occur during their natural routines. So you're not doing anything extraordinary. If you are preparing lunch and you want the kids to help you make lunch, you're going to do that you're going to embed your inclusive activities in the lunch making routine that you do with your kids. You're not going to do it separate from what you're normally doing in your program, okay? And I think that's important to know, because a lot of families, especially family daycare, get scared. Oh my gosh, I have a child who is blind coming in. I can't take them. I don't know what to do. Well, it's not extraordinary. You're not doing anything new and different. You're just providing another means of representation. So if they're blind, you're not going to be able to show them how to do it, but maybe you can talk them through how to do it. Maybe you can sing a song about how to do it. Maybe you can guide their hands hand under hand and show them where the materials are. So there's different ways you can do it, but you're not doing anything extraordinary. You're just incorporating and including them through UDL practices in what you're already doing. I hope that takes some of the fear away for people, because that's what inclusion is all about, is your normal everyday, what you're already doing. How do I include these kids? Not extraordinary things. Okay, so I don't want to make it sound like it's super easy. Sometimes it isn't, but it's also not extraordinary. So let's get into why I chose the tools that I chose. So there is still a website called letsparticipate.org. And they did a whole study, and they did a whole research project a couple years ago on Let's Participate. How do we get these young ones with disabilities to participate more in typical inclusive environments? And they came up with a Malden Early Intervention AT library. And for a while, they were selling the products, but they no longer sell them. So this was a research-based AT early intervention library, if you will, that I started there. to really kind of see what is research-based, what works, why does it work? And then the other thing that I pulled from is my own experiences. I was very fortunate to work under a grant through Ability Central of California on several different grant projects that really focused in on inclusion and assistive technology tools for children ages 0 to 3 in the early intervention programs, both with Hope Services here locally and with EPU over in Fresno, the Children's Center. And what I did is I gave them both huge loan libraries of tools. And I said, train them all in it. And I said, okay, let me know what works. So from those year-long projects, I was able to gather a lot of great data on what really works when you're in the trenches with the kids and the families and really trying to work with them. And that's a lot of these tools are also from that information about what works. And I was actually able to present my findings at a national conference, ATIA. And the other place that I went to, and I love these two books. I really encourage you, if you don't have them, get them. These are phenomenal. I went to Pete's, Sweet, and Kara's Kit books. They're like $20-$30 at the DEC special ed bookstore. And the link is there and you'll get it tomorrow in your handouts. These are phenomenal because this is what they do. They just look at children age 0 to 5 and say, how do I support this child in this environment? What can I do? And it kind of says, okay, here's what you're trying to do. Here's where the child is struggling. Here's some ideas, right? Perfect. That's exactly what you need. Give me some things to think about if I'm stumped. These two are guides for that. And they have a guide that is just for you personal. And they also have an overarching guide for a whole school that you can access. So I love these. And I have them in my office. I don't have these two at home, or I'd flip through pages and show you how easy it is to use. They're terrific. I really, really, really recommend both of these. They're phenomenal books to get you started. Okay, whoops, went the wrong way. Let's go the right way. Here we go. So now I'm going to stop. And does anyone have any questions about inclusion or why I picked the tools I picked or anything else at this point? Or are we ready to delve in?
I'm not seeing any questions. Brenda, do you hear from anybody?
I don't see any questions as well.
Fantastic. So we'll dig in. Woohoo,
Wait.
Oh.
Oh, okay, here we go. Could you also recommend books/website that are like Pete Sweet, etc., for a virtual environment?
Ooh, I wish I could, but I am going to be sharing some of the stuff that I'm talking to you about. I will be sharing how to do it virtually. So I hope that helps. Okay. I don't know of any books or website right now. There's ATIA Virtual is going on 2021. And there is some free stuff. So ATIA 2021, there's some, you can go check out some of the exhibitors and some of the free exhibitor-led presentations. And a lot of them are virtual based, and it's going on this week and next week. So, and some of the speech therapists and some early interventionists are presenting on how they're doing things virtually. So this might be a good chance for you to go and get some good information on how to make this work virtually. Okay, but I will be sharing some information as well that I gathered already from them. So.
Okay, great. I know Debbie was up, even as of yesterday, she was updating her information for you based on her attendance even earlier this week. So whatever you get is totally
so current. It's as current as it comes. All right, so we're going to move on to the tools. Now, before I stop sharing my screen, I did want you to know that I have a video playlist of all of the tools in the toolkit available for you on our YouTube channel. And again, you're going to get this tomorrow. So you don't have to try to write down the bit.ly. You'll just be able to click and go. And I set up the playlist to target different areas. So communication tools, physical access tools, fine motor tools, visual tools, and binder materials is what I call that one, and sensory tools. So everything that was in the toolkit that I created for the Inclusion Collaborative, the early learning toolkits, you're going to be able to see everything in there. Now, I do have to let you know, at least one of the products in the communication toolkit is no longer made. That happens, but it's okay. There's other things you can use in place of it. So let me know if you fall in love with the attainment one message wall hanging thing, and I'll give you information on where you can get more. I'm not demoing that today, but just know that I know that some of the tools are no longer available. Okay, so there is a video playlist of everything. So if this doesn't get recorded because the quality is bad, you still have information you can access. And getting to the tools. All right. And I do want to also let you know, I'm going to be able to share with you here's my contact information. For Parents Helping Parents, you'll be able to also just email me at debbied@php.com. That's debbied@php.com with any questions you may have about any of this. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop share. And here I am. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to start by showing you one of the things I learned yesterday as I go into my top tools. Where is it? Here it is. Isn't that great? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? So these are my top 10 tools. And as you can see, I'm going to start with visual schedules is over here, right? So I'm going to go through visual schedules, visual timers, adapted storybooks, social stories and learning experience book, language experience books, color coding tools, wiggle cushions and other cushions for movement, slant boards, adapted writing tools and scissors, core word boards, and finally, I'm going to end with calming tools, which is huge, right? And just so, again, so you know how I did this, because this is a visual schedule, isn't it? So that's the first thing I'm talking about is how do you make visual schedules? And in the virtual world, what I did is I used BoardMaker, but you don't have to use BoardMaker. You can use globalsymbols.com, which is a free website, and you'll have that tomorrow, with full of symbols. So you can just type in the symbols you're looking for, and you set up a board, which is what I did. I set up a board so I could sit in the middle of the board, and then I screenshotted the board, and I put it as a virtual background on my Zoom. And this way you can reference where I'm going and put this in a classroom setting, put this in a virtual learning setting, in a speech therapy setting, right? You can have, this is what we're doing today, right? And you can just set that up. Or this is how we're going to Zoom today. You're, mute, you're going to have the video on, you're going to unmute yourself, you're going to, right? The reminders, the visual reminders. This is huge. This is really helpful. I've actually set up a visual schedule for my meetings now. I had so much fun doing this. So I have my meeting, we all say hello, we have our meeting, and then we say goodbye. It's just fun, and it's interactive, and the kids enjoy it, and adults do too. So this is one way of doing a visual routine, which is my first top 10 tool. Visual routines and visual schedules that every daycare, every family of a child 0 to 5, every preschool should be using visual routines and visual schedules. And there's lots of ways of doing it. Now, here's where I get to start moving and showing you things. So this is one, because I was trying to think, okay, COVID, we have to be more careful. Velcro may not be the best thing. I found visual schedules routine called schedules. Okay. Schedules is magnetic, trifold. You can wipe it down, right? So you don't have to worry. So you can disinfect and wipe it down. Don't soak because magnet, but don't soak, and it's magnetic. And so here, put your visual schedules on this. You can hang it on the wall. Right? If you don't have a refrigerator that takes magnets, you can put these on this. This is magnetic. Okay, so this is a visual schedule of going to bed. First, we take our bath, then we brush our teeth, we go to the bathroom, we have a story, lights out. This is our bedtime schedule, right? Visual, very helpful, and for so many kids. And it's not just kids with language disability. It could also be kids who are second language learners. It could be kids who have auditory processing, right? They hear you, they know the word, but they take longer to process. They can see it, so they can see it and hear it. It's also good for kids with attentional issues. My one son has ADHD. When he was little, we did a visual schedule for him. His language was fine. He talked beautifully. There was no issue with his communication verbally, and he understood everything. He just couldn't attend to everything. So a visual schedule really helped him focus to what he needed to do. This was helped with his attention to detail. And on the back, just so you know, on the back, you can set a reward chart if you needed to, and it comes with the stars and the, earning a movie night kind of thing. So this is really nice and helpful, COVID-friendly magnetic board, but you don't want to spend money. I hear you. It's cool. You can make your own. This particular visual schedule I found on a website, and I just download. I think you're getting this. I think everyone gets a copy of this one. And it's washing hands. Again, how important is this during COVID, right? How do you wash your hands? So you turn on the water, you wet your hands, rub your hands with soap, rinse, turn off the water, dry your hands. You can have this by your sink where you have the kids wash their hands so they know how to wash their hands. They see it, they remember everything, how to do it. And you can even put a timer here, 20 seconds, right? They start it, 20 seconds, stop it, and they continue, right? Easy. And this is just laminated. So that's another thing you can do pretty easily. Another way of doing it is if you want to do Velcro, I hear you. This is just a piece of cardboard with Velcro receiving fabric on it. And then I can just make my visual routine with different icons, right? I'm sorry, that one kind of looks through. Here we go. So this is just a breakfast. Breakfast, clear the table, brush your teeth, comb your hair, put on your shoes and go outside, right? So this is just a nice routine for kids so they know what they're doing that day to make them more independent in the getting ready for their day routines and activities. And this was one that I found on Amazon. It came in a package like this with all of the different icons in it already and the Velcro. I just need to cut it out, put it together. Again, simple. But like you said, there's other ways of doing it. You can have photos. It doesn't have to be an icon. You can use actual pictures of what you have that you're showing for the routines, okay? Whatever you choose, just make sure, if you choose to do pictures, make sure the pictures are just of the object, the item, the thing that you want them to be doing. So it represents exactly what you need it to represent, okay? And that's visual routines and visual schedules. They're so helpful, not only for just getting ready for your day, for helping end the day, it's also really helpful for kids when you're doing a new activity. This is what we're going to do. Let me show you another way of representing, because I'm going to tell you, I'm also going to show you with the pictures on how to do this, right? I'm going to show you a video, multiple means of representation. So it's really helpful for so many kids and I really do think this is the most universally designed thing you can do is a visual schedule, a visual routine. I was talking to one of the people at EPU about the different products that I had given them, and her favorite was visual routines. And she said, this has been a lifesaver for so many families in their home, because when there is a change in routine, they're able to show beginning of the day that there's going to be something different happening that day, right? And that reduces the anxiety. It helps the child, gives them time to process that there's going to be something new happening, so that when that new thing happens, they're ready. As opposed to, oh yes, I said we were going to do blah, blah, blah. Well, blah, 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 they don't know what that means. Well, I've never done that before. What is that? Well, I'm going to tell you about it now, prepare you for it so that when blah, blah, blah happens, you know it's happening. You know it's coming. Lifesaver. That's what she called them. These are lifesavers, visual screens in the home, lifesavers. And if you go to the website, globalsymbols.com, it's free. Everything's free. You can go ahead and create your own boards using their symbols, all for free. Download, print. Families can have them for free. Huge. And lifesavers for so many families. I really recommend them. Pair a visual schedule. Now, my next favorite thing that here it is, visual timers, every family should have is a visual timer of some sort. Typical developing children do not understand the concept of 5 minutes until they're 6 or 7, right? And we're working with 0 to 5-year-olds. So we know, none of them know. We have 5 minutes left means nothing to them. We're talking a foreign language. They have no idea what 5 minutes means. They haven't felt it enough. They haven't experienced it enough. They don't have it in their cognition as to what 5 minutes is. So how do you help them make that transition then? Because you've been told, well, I'm supposed to give them a prompt so they know there's a transition coming. And so I run around and say, okay, 5 minutes, then we move to the next activity. Now you're telling me 5 minutes means nothing? Visual timers. When the red is all gone, when 5 minutes is up, then we move on to the next activity. This does multiple things. One, it gives them a visual representation of the passing of time. I'm going to turn this off so when it stops, we don't hear the loud beep. You can turn it off. I am. 2, it gives them, they can see the time moving. So that if they get wrapped up in their current activity and they're not transitioning well or it's not happening, you can say, ooh, how much red is left? As opposed to, you're not moving yet. How much red is left? Oh, you better get going. And then let it go. It reduces that stress and that anxiety and that battle. And it doesn't have to be the time timer. This is the time timer 60 plus. It happens to be my favorite because this is covered. And it has a stand on the back and you can have an auditory signal or not, but you don't have to use that fancy. You can do a timer with a sand timer like you would for the kitchen, or the kitchen oven timer if you're at home can be your timer to represent, and because that clicks down. So when you have a thing, when it says it's all zeros, time's up, you can just have that post above when it's all zeros, time's up, so that they can see the passing of time, visually see it. Sand timers are fantastic for this. And here's a tip. The Time Timer app is free. Android and iPad and iPhone is free. They put it free last year. It is still free. I double checked. So if you have access to an iPhone, an Android phone, an iPad, get the app. I love it because you can have multiple different timers available to you that you've preset. So if you're doing a virtual visit, you can have the timer running in the background. So they know, you can have a little corner of the timer so they know how much time is left in that activity. So another virtual tip for you to take home with. Any questions about visual routines or visual timers? These are my top 2 before I move on. I think we're
a
good.
Question from the chat. I know a lot of services are starting to be led or accessed through Google Classroom.
Yes.
Is that an option for Inclusion Collaborative? For inclusion.
Is Google Classroom an option for inclusion? Yes. There's a lot of great tools in Google Classroom that you can access. Even more than I can delve into here. They do have different timers available in Google Classroom that you can access. You can do in Google Slides, because that's part of Google Classroom, is you can have shared whiteboards and screens so that you can have a visual schedule set up on the shared whiteboard. And there's other tools you can use within Google Classroom specific that I can delve into. If you want to, just send me an email and I can dig into it with you a little bit. That'd be great. Any other questions at this time? Or I'll move on to the next favorite, which is adapted stories.
We have a couple clarifying that Google Classroom. It says meaning the videos in Google Classroom to show teachers and parents when and how to use techniques.
Oh,
maybe, okay.
I guess I'm not understanding the question. Maybe just email me privately and then I want to give you the right answer, but I want to make sure I understand the question first.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and reply to her and have her email you directly.
Perfect.
All right, one more question. What tools would you recommend for a 3-year-old on the spectrum who is struggling with speech and social skills?
Good question. I would definitely recommend the visual routines and visual schedules. That is huge because you're giving them a visual representation of language that they can access. And that may be what they need to move into the verbal, right? You're not stopping talking. A lot of people get scared, like, oh my God, you're going to stop talking. No, I'm giving you a visual representation. Where did I put it? Of, for example, sitting. I'm also telling you to sit. So I'm doing two things at once. I'm giving you the option. And I'm going to have visuals available for them to point to if they can't find the word in their head. Because oftentimes kids have the word, they just can't find it fast enough. And they kind of give up. So if you have the visual representation, they can point to it. And then it gets their message out and reduces their frustration. So visuals are huge at that age. And I'm going to go into the social stuff in a bit. So good question. Anything else at this time, or am I ready to move on into adapted stories and language experience books? Okay.
I see
Fantastic.
somebody raised her hand.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, let me see if I can allow this person to talk. Anna, can you talk now? Anna, if you can unmute yourself, you can talk.
Okay, well, why don't we have Anna go ahead and put her question in the chat?
Yeah.
If since it doesn't seem like she can get back to her computer right now, which happens.
Yeah. Looks like
I
that is a problem.
understand. I completely understand. So, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, go ahead. I want to make sure I get the question, but I'm going to go ahead and move on for now. And then we'll come back to additional questions, and I can go back. It's fine. But let me I want to try to get through these tools because I could spend a long time on all of this. And this, again, is just a fraction of the easy to use implementation tools for all environments and for all kids, not just kids with disabilities, but kids struggling with language because they're second language learners or whatever. The next favorite tool, and this one kind of took me by surprise, but then when I thought about it, it made sense. And this was from my work with Hope and EPU, the early interventionists. They loved adapted storybooks. Loved, they could not get enough of them. They kept wanting me to make them. And I said, okay, stop. I can't do it all the time. It's not a thing I can do. But why did they love adapted storybooks? Here is an adapted storybook. I got these off of Teachers Pay Teachers. If you just go on to Teachers Pay Teachers and write in adapted storybooks, you're going to get this. This is a whole series that I found on all the different nursery rhymes, adapted nursery rhymes. Why did they love these? One, Mary had the letters are big, everything's nice and big. Two, you've got your icons. Mary had a little lamb. Turn the page. Mary had a little lamb. His fleece was white as snow. Can you find? Oh, look. And the kid now has something to do, interactive, right? Match the lamb. There's the lamb. So you're matching, you're keeping attention of the child. And finally, for those with attentional issues and struggle with sitting for long periods of time, they know that when all of these are in the story, they're done. It's over. So they know it's when it's coming to an end, right? And you can go one by one by one until it's over. And this is just 6 pages. It's short, it's little Velcro, lamination paper. A whole bunch of these are on Teachers Pay Teachers, my favorite website for finding this stuff. But you don't want to spend the money at Teachers Pay Teacher, you say? Well, I don't blame you. Kids Club, and you're going to get this resource, KIZclub.com, has what they call story props. So these are story props for the very hungry caterpillar, right? Very hungry caterpillar. And I would pop these, I would Velcro them and pop them up on something that took Velcro. But imagine you're talking about they went through the cupcakes. So you cut out the thing and you have the caterpillar go through the cupcakes. Again, you've got interactivity, you've got attention grabbers, you've got tactile. The kid who needs to touch and hold, they've got something they can touch and hold. It's so universal for so many kids. And these are all free. If you go onto Kids Club, look up story props, you're going to see hundreds, I don't know if it's hundreds, but many, many stories of with story props that you can just download the props, print them, cut them, I laminate, and you've got them, and they're free. And they're really, and it's all the popular stories like Hungry Caterpillar. So I love adapted storybooks. And again, in terms of kids, think about the number of kids that would benefit from that. Kids that are struggling with English as a second language, kids with attentional issues, kids who are tactile, who need to touch and feel to get it. It gives them something to touch and feel. Kids with attention issues, it gives them something to focus to. And kids with language issues. It hits all of those adapted storybooks. And they're so important, those early literacy experiences, because that increases language. So here's another one going into my next favorite, which is social stories and language experience stories. These are stories that help kids, that you can create individually or just download and print, that help kids. Social stories help kids learn what's coming, what's expected of them. And language experience stories helps the child tell their story about what happened to them. So they're both
Debbie, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you repeat the name for the free website for the adaptive books?
Right. And again, this will be in your handout tomorrow too, but it's Kids Club, KIZCLUB, kidsclub.com.org. Let me look. Do I have it? It's .com.
Okay, great.
And you get it tomorrow.
All right.
Okay, good. Yeah, I love free. That's my favorite price. But social stories. So what is a social story? Let's start with social stories. Social stories are stories that you create to help a child know what is expected of them and learn what they need to do in a new situation or in a routine. And these are powerful. Here's one I just downloaded yesterday because I realized all my social stories are in my office. So now I have one here at home. These are free. You can just download and print from andnextcomesl.com. Okay. And there's a bunch of social stories on that website. And on the handout you get tomorrow, I have another website listed with a bunch of social stories on it already made. And this is a social story about brushing your teeth, right? Brushing my teeth. And what I would do is I would take this story and I would put the child's picture on here and I would make it personal to that child, right? Brushing my teeth. And it is important to brush my teeth every day to keep them healthy. It's written first person. I need to brush my teeth. I brush my teeth in the morning and at night. And everything is first person. And everything is what is expected of them to do. What do I do? How do I do it? So it's a great way to learn, to teach them how to do and maintain a new routine. Okay. And this is all about what to do and how to brush your teeth, right? And again, I would put my own child's picture on all of these. I would make it interactive. I would have them help me take the pictures. Oh, hold the toothbrush up. Where's the toothbrush? Because maybe that's a new word for them. They've never heard the word toothbrush. They're still trying to figure out what that is. The more I say it and have them interact with me with that, the more this is going to be more meaningful to them. And social stories, you read to them before you do the activity. You say, oh, we're going to brush our teeth. Let's read the social story about brushing teeth to remind them, again, attention, to remind them of how to do it, to give them the steps they need. It's all in here, so that when they're ready to brush their teeth, they know what is expected of them and how to do it. Okay. And this is a great tool for so many kids, right? When you're learning new activities or going to be doing something new and different. Social stories are big. The other thing that is big is learning language experience stories. So a language experience story is when the child is trying to tell you a story about what they did, right? And you're going to help them tell that story, and you're going to make it interactive. So that they can say, oh, I have, let's say I have pets. Oh, tell me about your pets. And then you're going to pull pictures and you're going to be writing the word pets. And you're going to say, was that a cat or a dog? And you're going to be giving them the language they need in a story, through a language experience story, of all the words they need to tell their story about their pet. Is it a dog with a lot of fur? Is it fluffy, or doesn't have a lot of fur? What color is the fur? So you're giving them the words, you're giving them new language experience stories, and it's pertinent and important to them. They're telling you what they want you to know. So it's very powerful. And there's a great tool called bookcreator.com, free, my favorite price. You can buy a version to get more, but I haven't. And I'm going to try to share my screen and show that to you, what that looks like and how easy it is to make books in Book Creator. So, and this is one I just realized was available on the internet. And this is something you can do with your kids. By using Google Image. So here's a book I made yesterday called My Pets. So I'm going to click on that book and I'm going to go ahead and read the book. Okay, so here's My Pets. I'm going to have it read to me.
My Pets.
Okay. All right, so you get the idea. But what I loved about this, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, it's called Book Creator. It's free. My favorite price is I was able to, in 10, 15 minutes max, create a book about my pets, pulling images from Google. There's a really easy way. They have a Google search for Creative Commons license images. You just type what you want off of Google and it gives it to you. Off of what I had on my files, you're able to record your voice. So that's what I did. And imagine recording the child's voice, right? They're telling the story, you record their voice on that page. And also embed video. So if I'm working with someone with sign language, I can embed a sign language video if I wanted to. So multiple means of expression. And when it was reading the book out loud to the child, it was highlighting each word as it was being read. Huge for early literacy, right? Book Creator, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I was so excited to find it again. Like, yes, I had it on my iPad, but the app was really old. I'm like, it's really good on a PC. So love the tool. I really recommend it for language experience books, as well as creating social stories. This is another easy to use tool to create social stories for your kiddos. Love these. And just so you know, we have on our website, if you go to that website at the very beginning on the early childhood side, we created this because this is coming up, right? This is like a little social story. I say hello to my friends by, and different options that they can choose to appropriately physically distance, not socially distance, say hello to their friends, right? And then they can choose how they're going to say hello to their friends. So I say hello to my friends by, I can give them an air hug. I can dance with them. I can say hello. I can blow a kiss. I can bow. And this is free. You can just download it off our website. I've made this for everyone because I thought this is really important. It's available in English and in Spanish on our website because kids, we need them to know how to be, like you were saying, socially interactive with others, but we're living in a really weird time with physical distancing. And, for some kids want to hug, they're huggers, and some kids don't even know how to say hello anyway. So we're telling them, these are some options you have. You choose how you want to say hello in this physically distance so that your friends know you're here and you want to interact. So they can take it, they can look, they can point, and they can go do. Again, giving them that visual representation of what their options are so they can choose what to do. So I hope that answers a little bit about the social bit, about how to do that along with social stories. There's some great social stories on our e-newsletter that we're putting out for the early 0 to 5-year-olds, which I hope all of you sign up for. If you go to info@php.com and sign up and say you're interested in signing up for the Get an Early Start e-newsletter. It comes out once a month in your email. This month it's all about friendships and how to make friends. And I've got some resources in it about that. So in terms of that social, what is normal social? How do I develop those social skills? That's what this e-newsletter is about. So sign up for it and you'll get some more tips on that. Any questions about any of these first four things? Social stories, language experience stories, adapting storybooks. These are my biggies. I love these.
I have a question from one person saying, I hope this fits now, or maybe you can address it later.
That's
I
fine.
have a child, 3.5 years old, nonverbal on the spectrum, who does not respond to visual. How should I teach him to follow classroom routine?
He may have attentional as well as nonverbal. So it may be getting him to attend to the picture. And so this is where you're going to have to look at, okay, how do I get him to attend to the visual routine, right? So now we're looking at attention and visual. And that's where you may want to, like some visual routines, you can pull off, have them take off when it's time. Like here's this one. Aha, I knew I had it. So you have the visual routine here. So we're going to say, okay, we're going to have breakfast first. Excellent. Breakfast is done. Take this off. Gives them something tactile to do and refocuses their visual attention to the next one. So that's one strategy, is to have something they take off and give you to refocus their visual attention to the schedule and routine. Another is to set up a reward chart. So when they follow the routine and they followed it so many days, they get a little reward. So just some ideas to think about. Okay. Anything else about these first four before I delve into the next set?
This might be addressed later, but I'll ask it now. What suggestions do you have for children that are energetic and they're presenting difficulty to interact with activities and tools via Zoom?
Exactly. Yes, I will get into it. Let me just say, and it's up here, give them movement, wiggle cushions. I'll get into it. Yeah, that's huge. Huge. They can't sit, so why make them? So I will get into it. Yes, I hear you. I hear you. I will definitely delve into it. Anything else right now, or can I?
Nothing else that I see.
All right, fantastic. Let's keep going. My next favorite tool that should be in all preschool daycare homes as needed, color coding tools. Why is color coding so important? So many different ways. So if you are in a center-based program, a preschool program, a daycare program, one thing you're working on is learning colors, right? So you could have a blue card and say, oh, you're going to go to the book area where our books are, and you're going to have blue tape or a blue card on that. So they're matching cards, matching colors, right? So you're saying blue and you're saying book. And so they can go independently to that area, to the book area, blue to blue. You could have the kitchen table be red and say, oh, it's time for us to go and eat our food. Match the card red to red, and they take it to the red to the red. You can, and colored masking tape is phenomenal. This is also, color coding is also really good for helping differentiate their workspace from somebody else's workspace. For some kids, they don't have that sense of where is my bubble and where is their bubble, their social bubble, their physical distance bubble. Tape it off. If you need to do 6 feet between, use tape. And everyone's a different color. Someone's purple, someone's blue, someone's green, someone's yellow, someone's orange, someone's red. In the time of COVID, this is huge. Then they are not sharing their stuff with others. You're reducing the spread. You can have the red kid in the red area with all his red, with his stuff, and you're not sharing the crayons across and the scissors across, which you're not supposed to do or try not to do, which is really hard. But because they're kids, 0 to 5, but this is a way of trying really hard to do that. The other thing that color coding can be really helpful for is kids with visual impairments. Kids with CVI, there's a lot more kids with CVI out there than we had previously known. And oftentimes people think, oh, they're visually impaired. Oh, you know, that's for life. No, recent studies have shown that kids with CVI can have their vision improve because it's not their eyes that are not working. It's the connection between what their eyes are seeing and what their brain is recognizing. And color coding and using color can really help those kids. And in particular, most kids, and this is a global statement, and that's not true for all, most kids, red and orange seem to be the colors they see best. Sometimes it's yellow. So what you do is you outline the desk in red. You outline a door frame in red. And in the outlining of different things, you're helping them see it better so they know where to go and where not to go. And that can be really, really powerful for some kids to have that kind of outlining kind of stuff to do. And again, it's not extraordinary, and this isn't expensive. Amazon, it's cheap. You know, buy a whole roll of tape and use it up quickly. And then when they get older, you can have color coding for, you know, your reading is blue, your writing is yellow, your math is purple, right? You can do it by subject. So they know what the subject is. So you would have your visual routine and you'd have it set by color as well. So you'd have eating is always going to be purple. So your breakfast is going to have purple next to it. And anything with personal hygiene is blue. So brushing your teeth and combing your hair is going to be blue. It's going to be in the bathroom, right? So you can really set this up, color coding up in your visual routines as well. Hugely, hugely important and research-based that it's. Now let's get to that kiddo who can't sit. Oh, my internet's unstable. Hopefully y'all can still get me. Sorry. So
You're
let's
fine.
go.
We can see you now. You froze
okay,
momentarily, but you're back in the action now.
Phew. Come on, technology, work. So let's talk about that kid who needs to move. Let's let them move in an appropriate way. And I love wiggle cushions for this. I'm actually going to go into wiggle cushions and some of the calming tools as well. Okay, I'm reaching over. I'm getting my wiggle cushion. All right. You can't see it because it's green on a green background. Ah! Okay, so that didn't help. Let's get the other one. Here we go, red. There we go. This is a red one. All right, you can see this one. So wiggle cushions, my favorite are the tri-deer ones that you can put air in, and they have, and I wish I could show it to you. It's, here, let me show you my messy room. No, still can't see it. All right, never mind. It has tactile on one side, and it's smooth with smaller bumps on the other side. So they can sit on either one and they can move. Some kids just need to move. So this way they can be sitting and having movement at the same time. This one also vibrates. So this one, I would turn it on and have it vibrate as they sit. So they're getting input up through their core while they're sitting, and that might keep them sitting longer. Some kids just have a hard time sitting. There's also something, and I don't have them here to show you, they're elsewhere in the house, Bouncy Bands. And what those are bands that go on the feet of the legs of a chair, and they can bounce their feet on the bands and getting them that in movement that they need while they're sitting. It's hard with high active kids. It's hard to sit. And sometimes you just need to let them walk around the room as they're talking to you. And that's okay too, right? You need to let them just walk around the room while you're talking and then say, okay, you know, you get 5 minutes to walk around the room and I'm going to be doing this. And then when the 5 minutes is up, then we're going to go ahead and have you sit down on your wiggle cushion and do this again. Because the other thing to think about when you're working with someone who's high energy, high active like that, is that they may have some sensory processing issues, that they may not feel where their core is. Something called dyspraxia or sensory processing disorder. And again, you're just learning kiddos at 0 to 5. You don't know kids yet. So I'm going to go into another tool. This was in my calming area, but I love him. This is a stuffed animal bear that has a 5-pound weight in his belly. Have them put this on their lap. It grounds them down to the seat. right? So they're feeling that, and it doesn't have to be the stuffed animal. You can get, if you want to be more COVID safe, a 5-pound lap pad that you can just wipe clean, and have them get grounded with that, because often kids that are high movement don't know where their body is in space. And that's where they're struggling with is, yes, kids need to move, but they may also just not have a sense of body and space. So sitting in a chair is really difficult for them because they need to move to feel themselves in space. So try these different things, see if it works. And if you're still struggling or they're still having issues, this may be a time to call in an occupational therapist to look at sensory processing concerns. And is that a concern? Is that something, because it can be worked on. My son with ADHD also had sensory processing, and a couple of years of good OT therapy, and we did a whole routine with him, and he's fine. So it can be helped tremendously, and I get that. So wiggle cushions over here, wiggle cushions, bouncy bands, and weighted lap pads to feel that centering for those high active kids that may have some core wiggle issues. Okay. Any questions about that sensory stuff? Because there's a whole bunch, I've got a whole thing of calming tools I'm going to get into in a bit, but that's kind of more of that core body and space stuff. Any questions about that?
Well, somebody said, where did you get the stuffed animal? Also found weighted vests useful, but maybe again, you can address that during the calming tools.
No, weighted vests are fabulous.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, since you're going on to, I assume you're going to still go to calming tools later on.
Yes,
so
I will get there.
You can get there.
I will get there.
Okay.
Yes, I will get there.
All right.
But yes, weighted vests are fabulous. And I found my buddy, where did I find you? Hang on, I have the bag. Here it is. My 5-pound dude is here. Sensory for you, Sensipals. Okay. And what I like about him is you can get the weight out and wash him. So you can throw him in the machine after you take the 5-pound weight out. Okay. But you can also get 5-pound lap bands off of Amazon that you just wipe down, that aren't pretty and cute and fun, but it works too. Okay. All right, onward. All right, we're going to go into some fine motor stuff now, because so many kids 0 to 5 have issues with fine motor, learning to write, learning to grasp. These hands aren't there yet for whatever reason. So what's available? And I use this for myself, but this was also a very much a favorite tool for so many different kiddos. Is a slant board. Okay, this happens to be my favorite slant board of all time, called the Visual Edge. And the reason I really like the Visual Edge slant board is multiple reasons. One, it has at the bottom ways to hold the paper on, or the object on. It doesn't even have to be paper, right? Crayons, pencils, whatever, it holds it on. 2, it's magnetic. So I can use, let's say, the magnetic icons on here if I wanted to as well. 3, you have the clips to hold the paper on as well. Nice. 4, you can't see it because it's green, sorry. You've got the stand that folds down for you, okay? So it's fabulous. I love this stand, and it holds thing at what is recognized to be the right easiest way at level, which is 30 degrees for writing, for coloring, for scissoring, for reading, all of those tools, 30-degree angle, which makes it easier for kids who maybe are struggling with this motion, the elbow, wrist, the shoulder. They can just rest their arm on it and write. They're not having to hold their hand up while they write. They can just focus in on the actual reading, the actual crayoning, the drawing, the scissoring, whatever. They've got a place to prop their arm. So Slant Edge, my favorite tool, Visual Edge slant board. So useful. I use it myself because I love it. It's just terrific. Another thing in terms of fine motor is having available adapted writing tools and scissors. And now people go, oh my God, that's money. No, it isn't. I promise you. I'm talking my first crayons by Crayola. right? These are egg-shaped palm grasp crayons. And they cost the same as any other crayon. But the nice thing about these is for kids who don't have yet the tripod grasp that they need for writing, you're still working on it, they can do this and they can still color, which is so important. Such a great fine motor skill for getting to the coloring and being more precise with it. So they can scribble, scrabble, they can draw a circle, they can draw a big square, they can color in a big thing, and they can participate in that activity. And these are just crayons, right? It's not fancy, it's not expensive. And since it's Crayola, if they color off the lines, it's washable. Love that too. Or let's say you have a kid who is more physically impacted. Let's say their hands are curled up. They have a physical disability that impacts their hand. You can do baby crayons. And these are, you put them on their finger, right? And so now they just need a finger. Whoops, and my fingers are too thin. I don't have fat little kid fingers. But they come in different colors. You put it on the finger and they can color. We're using just a finger now. So they can participate in those early writing activities as well. And again, these aren't expensive. I just got these off of Amazon. It wasn't much at all. The other thing I really like for beginning writers is with pencils. These are called Tri-Write pencils, okay, by Ticonderoga. And it's the triangle shape, and it's big. So when you're working on that tripod grasp, which is so important, this puts their fingers in the right place, and it's big, and it's big enough for them to get a hold of, to start working on that. And these, again, off of Amazon, really nice and cheap. And finally, scissoring. Loop scissors are phenomenal. Because what you have your typical scissors, and you have to have the ability to open and close and have that strength in your hand. A lot of the little ones don't have that yet. You're still working on it. So these loop scissors, they squeeze and then it opens for them. So they're still practicing this, which is so important, but they don't have to worry about opening your hand again. So it's nice because it opens itself. So I love these as well for just and none of this is expensive. And what I recommend with these kinds of tools, if you're wanting to please incorporate them into your daycare programs, preschool programs, is just have them as an option. Because you may be surprised that the kid that never liked to color with a typical crayon, it may have been because the crayon felt uncomfortable in their hand and they couldn't tell you that. But if they love the palm grasp or they love the thing, because that feels more comfortable for them. So just when you're having these tools as part of your preschool or your daycare program, you just have them available for all the kids. They're not Johnny's tools. They're anyone's kid. Anyone can go pick that up and use it. And you might be surprised at who chooses to use those particular tools because you never know. But they can't tell you because they don't know it's different. For them, that's their life. They just don't like the way the crayon is in their hand, so they just would rather not color. All right, let's give them a different kind of crayon. Let's see if that helps. So just have it as a tool in your toolkit when you're working on those fine motor arts and crafts kinds of things. Any questions so far about those things so far? Because I'm going to get into the last two.
I don't see any questions at this point.
Fabulous. Excellent. Onward. The other thing that I think is important for all daycare preschool programs to have is core word boards and visual icons representing routines and language. Kind of going with visual schedules, but taking it that one step further. And why? Oh God, I buried it. Hang on, let me get my core word board. Buried under here is my core word board. Well, trust me, I have one. I buried it. All right, well, you'll have to just trust me on this. Oh, wait, here it is. Core word board. Core word boards are really important for multiple different kids. You're talking about kids with attention issues, kids with language disabilities, verbal language or receptive language. You're talking about kids with second language learners. a core word board, just having it available, propped up, and this could be big in a classroom or small in a home on your fridge, is really helpful because you're going to use it to say, oh, I see you want that. Do you want me to get that for you? That's it. You're just showing them where the words are. You're not expecting them to use it, but you're letting them know this is the word want. This is the word get, right? So that when they are struggling and they can't find the word, they can come over and get those core words off of here, right? I want you to get that, as opposed to dragging your hand and, over to the fridge and opening the fridge for you. They can say get, and then you'd have some different words along here for what they want you to get, okay? You also have words like stop. Stop is huge, right? You want them to stop doing something, you say it and you show it. You need to stop. It's time to stop. We're going to stop this activity. Okay, let's stop. Okay, because stop is a big word. And then they can use stop when they want you to stop doing something. Stop, Mom, I'm not done. Perfectly normal, right? But it's good for them to have options to know where those words can be found. Because oftentimes, especially at 0 to 5, a lot of the behaviors that are being expressed by these young children is because they don't have the language yet to tell you what's going on. So they're going to express it in a behavior. And so it's really important for us as the adults in their life to not get down into that behavior with them, which can be really hard. I know, especially if it's at the grocery store and they've decided to have a temper tantrum in the middle of the candy aisle. But for us to help them give the language they need so that they can express themselves in another way. They may just not have the language. And so here's a way for us to help them get that language they may not have yet so that they can express themselves, so they can do and say what they need to do and say. Okay. Another easy thing you can do, and I highly recommend doing, is choice boards. Okay. Oftentimes kids will want something, and it may be something that they can't have at the moment. But what you can do is all 2-year-olds want to control, right? That's just part of being 2. They just want to control. They want what they want when they want it. But you can give them appropriate choices on a choice board. You take pictures, and this is just pictures of different things, and you just make them appropriate choice and say, what do you want to do now? You get to choose one of these 3 things. Now they're back in control with an appropriate choice of what they want to do. And they can say, I want to play with the fire truck. Great, let's go get the fire truck, right? You're giving them appropriate control, which is what they're striving for, that appropriate independence in a visual way, using a visual icon. So they may not have the word yet, but at least they have the knowledge and the visual representation of something they can do. And that's really, really important for kids. Again, a lot of the behaviors are based on not knowing what to do. Language isn't there yet. They don't know how to appropriately do what they want to do. So they're going to act out of frustration, out of you're not understanding and I'm angry. So let's try to get to a point where we can understand them by giving them visual representations. Even if they have the words, so many kids, when their emotions are skyrocketing, they lose all their words. All they can do is scream. That's typical developing kids. So this is our way of giving them an option. Okay, let's visually represent things. I can see you're really mad. I'm so sorry. You're mad. I know you want that. Let's maybe one of these, kind of thing would work. Okay. So visual representation of language, have it available just in case, because you never know, right? And again, second language learners also benefit from this, as well as do kids with attentional issues and those who are the late talkers, all benefit from visual representation of language. And just have it around. And again, globalsymbols.com, you can go to that website. You can print as many symbols as you want for free and have that available. You can take photos and have those available, whatever works easiest for you. It doesn't have to cost anything to get started. Now we're going to move into the calming tools. Since we've just talked about behavior, we're going to talk about calming tools. every home, every preschool, every daycare should have a calm area, a place where the kiddo can go and de-stress and cope. And it could be something as simple as under the kitchen table is their sensory calming area, or it could be on their bed is their sensory calming area. Anything like that would be fabulous. And in every daycare center, there should be a space that is a calming space. Because when kids get overwhelmed, their bodies don't know what to do. So if we give them a place where they can go and they can calm with different calming tools, I'm going to show you a couple of different options available until they can get to the point where their bodies are calm so they can, okay, then let's talk about what's going on. That's what they need, right? In the moment, they can't talk about it. Once their bodies are calm, then maybe they can talk about it. So calming tools, there's a lot out there. I've already shown you the 5-pound weighted stuffy that could be in your calming area as a calming tool as well. So then they can hold and grasp and squeeze and just get that out. Another really helpful tool for so many kids are noise canceling earmuffs. I got these on Amazon, and they're too small for my big head, but you go on. They're for kids, and you put them on, and the kiddos can have just reduces the noise volume of what's going on in the environment, and so that they can again reduce the stimulation they're getting from the outside world, so they can calm their body. Okay. And these can be really helpful for some kids who are just, it's like their ears are on overtime. They hear everything, and everything orally is distracting for them. Think about getting a pair of these. These aren't expensive. I got this like $20-$30, and see if this helps. Because it can be really, really helpful for some kids just until they can regulate their hearing and their body together. Okay, so that's another one. There's also calm down routines. Here's my calm down routine, built to the floor. Here it is. And I think everyone gets one of these. But what I like about a calm down routine is this could be in your calming area. And they could sit down or lie down on a beanbag or lie down on their bed. And they don't have to have their feet on the floor. You can change it to whatever routine works most appropriately. But fold your hands so they're not reaching out and grasping and slapping and punching and pinching. Take 3 deep breaths. Count to 10. How you feeling? Do some more, right? So this is just a calm down routine. And when I started working with calming routines, I was working with the adult population. I was working in an adult daycare facility at that time. And I gave this to the staff there. And I said, this is great for those adults when they start getting ramped up, to work with them, to give them a routine that everyone's doing the same thing. All the staff is doing the same thing to help that adult self-regulate, learn the tools for self-regulation, right? Because 0 to 5-year-olds don't know it either, right? But some of the adults didn't know it in this program. What they did, and I thought this was very clever, is they used this routine as their transition routine. So when they were transitioning adults from one activity to another, and think about this in your preschools and your daycares, in your home, you're transitioning them to playing, to having lunch. All right. So we're all going to sit on our chairs. Good job. We're going to put our feet on the floor. Good job. Fold our hands. Take 3 deep breaths. Okay, everyone count to 10. All right. Good work. Time for lunch. Do you see how that changes the feeling of that excitement, that energy? Oh, it's lunchtime. To now we can focus in on enjoying our food as opposed to right? So this is a really nice tool. And then by doing it when it's not needed, when you do need it, they know the routine. Huge, very important. So set up a calm down routine in your calming area that they can work on. Another nice, and there's lots of calming tools. I had somewhere, Lord knows where that sheet of paper went, 100 calming tools. And things like blowing bubbles. Because again, it's that deep breath and then the blowing out of the air. That's really big. Blow out the candle. right? Anything that encourages deep breathing is big, right? Blow the cotton ball across the paper is a good calming activity. Some kids need squishies. They need to squish and touch and hold and squishy. This is they don't make this particular backpack anymore. This is from the Discovery Source store. And it's a calming kit. They have calming kits available for home and for the classroom. But some of the different tools in here, which I liked, and again, this would be in your calming area, and you can pick these tools or pick your own, is the squishy. Just something, just get it out of your system, right? They also have, and I love Tubaloos. Tubaloos is another Universal Design product, so much you can do with too. They can talk into the Tubaloo until their voice is quiet, not hurting their own ears, right? If someone's yelling, right? They also have in here, and I thought this was good, some calming strategies. A whole list of things that the child can then go through and say, you know what, today I'm going to jump to calm. I need to move to calm my body down. And so they pick jump and then they jump. And it's in English and Spanish. So some really nice stuff in here to help kids learn self-regulation, because they don't know it yet. Most kids don't know self-regulation for a while. So that's some really good stuff in the Calming Kit backpack. But again, you don't have to go through that. I have a website that it's on your handout tomorrow. It's called andnextcomesl.com. And it's what to put in a calm down kit for kids. Right, so you can look at that and see, oh, here's some ideas to put in my calming corner. And it could be books, it could be stuffies, it could be squishies, it could be bubbles, it could, whatever works for the children and your daycare and where you are is what should be in that calming corner. Okay, it's 11:30. I know I said I'd go till 12, but I kind of wanted to have lots of time to answer questions, which I've been doing. So this is your chance to ask questions. Any questions about any of this or anything else, this is a good time to ask. I'd love to answer them. So pop them in the chat, pop them in the Q&A.
One person who said, hold on here.
Yeah.
My daughter is 3 and has autism. She likes to pile her toys and not share. She has trouble with social interactions.
Correct. Right. So first of all, at 3, they're still learning social interactions. And there is so what I would do is I would parse that into 2 things. I would parse that into sharing toys and social interactions. Okay. So I would make that 2 separate things to work on because it's hard for kids to learn to have a social interaction, and it's really hard for kids to share their toys. So let's separate the 2 things and let's focus on one or the other with each interaction. So if you really want to work on having a friend over to play or a cousin of course, that's in your social bubble over to play, then I would have that cousin bring a toy and I would introduce a neutral toy that is not hers to that environment so that you can then work with playing with somebody with neutral toys, not their stuff, and then work on sharing their stuff at another time with you, for example, as a parent. You can work on it with you because you're a neutral person to them. You're not trying to take their toys away. You gave them the toys. So that fear should be gone unless you really like their toys. So I would split that into 2 different sort of areas to work on. So that's kind of how I'd handle that. And then in terms of teaching how to play with someone is I would do the social story. I'd say, oh, your friend's coming over or your cousin's coming over to play. We are going to blank, I will blank. I will play. I will sit next to them. I will color with them. I will share the crayons with them. When they ask for a crayon, I will give it to them when I am done. When I need a crayon they're using, I will say, may I use that crayon? And use that crayon when they give it to me. After we color, we will have a snack. The snack will be, so you prepare them for with a social story. You will tell them what you expect of them in that social story during that social interaction, and you keep it short and sweet and hope for the best. And that's how you start developing those social skills, is you keep it short, sweet, and you prepare them for it. Okay, any other questions?
Okay, great, thanks. Here's one more question. Thank you for providing the specific calming tools. Any other tools that can be added to a calming area in a classroom that follow COVID guidelines?
Someone had to ask. Thanks. Yeah, that's tough. There's a lot of items out there that can be sanitized. And I've been looking at them, like the weighted lap pad that you can get from Fun and Function. It's a 5-pound lap pad, and you can sanitize the top of it. It's a plastic material. So there's one that you can have in your common area easily. In terms of a calming down corner, you'll just have to sanitize whatever it is after each person uses it, and whether it be Lysol spray or what have you. And I know that that's difficult and challenging. And then I know you're not supposed to share the crayons and the what have you. So if someone grabs like an egg crayon, that is now goes into their little pod. That they are now using that egg crayon, whether they like it or not, for the rest of the duration, that's their egg crayon. And I know it's expensive, and I know it's hard because maybe they just grabbed it because it was new and different and they don't really like it, but you're not supposed to share that afterwards. So it is washable. So maybe you can sanitize a crayon. I don't know. But other tools that could be anything that can be sanitized with a wipe or the Lysol, or the other stuff that they have, and just left to air dry is what will kill the COVID virus. So those are some things to think about. Time timers, this is completely washable. So you can have this in your common area. iPads can be washed with sanitizing cloth. There's instructions on the Apple website on that. But the case, you'll have to take the case. The case is going to be the tricky part. Depends on the case it's in, whether it can be washed or not. So yeah, it's hard in COVID because you do have to follow certain regs and regulations, and I understand that. But that's why the magnetic schedules was like, I can follow it on this one. So I was excited about that. Sorry, I don't have a definitive list. I wish I did. It'd make life so much easier. Any other questions?
No, but I just have to comment that I have my own calming tools, and I have my own space that I use. So even adults have places where they can go to calm down and have their things that they know that are effective. So it's not just for young kids, it's for any age.
Exactly. And if anyone, because this is a great audience of professionals, if anyone has tools that they found effective that are COVID safe for a common space for all kids to access, write it in the chat room. Share. We could all use the information. That would be great.
Someone was commenting about that, just being putting things in Ziploc bags for COVID,
Yes.
so that they could wipe it down the Ziploc bag.
Exactly. Yeah.
Plastic bags. Yeah.
Right. And then in terms of the whole laminating thing, instead of laminating, because you can wipe laminator down, but remember back old school, instead of laminating, you can stick your piece of paper in the sheet protectors, which are like Ziploc bags, and stick that in a binder and just wipe the sheet protector down. Right. So there is that too, going old school again. But it works. Whatever you can put it in to wipe. And I love the idea of the Ziploc bag too. Yeah. And in fact, that's what actually, when you just said that, it triggered me. That's what hospitals do, is they put the iPads in Ziploc bags. And that's how they keep them sanitized from room to room. So yeah, that's true. Good point. Anything else? Or are we done?
No, I'm just going to give you some great feedback here from the chat. This is great information and modeling. I keep getting prompts and materials for my child's school, but no instructions on what to do with them. Thanks for showing us. And just to piggyback on a previous compliment, this presentation is absolutely great and so helpful. Most presentations provide a lot of information, but as attendees, we usually look for specific tools. Debbie has provided the specific tools and how to use in various ways. So helpful.
Excellent. Good. Well, thank you very much. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and, because Zoom for 2 hours is too long, and I've already kind of gone over what I wanted to because I talk too much. but the videos have the full kit of inclusion tools in them. So I didn't delve into voice output devices. I didn't delve into switches and access and alternate spinners. There's lots of stuff I didn't get to, but it's all on that video playlist, and you're going to get that information tomorrow. I just know that sitting on Zoom for 2 hours is just a long time. So I thank you for your attention, and thank you for that positive feedback, and fantastic. And again, email me privately with more specific questions, and I'll see what I can find out for you. Like I said, I'm going to ATIA now, and I'm learning all kinds of new stuff. Thank you so much for your attention. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.